Hey, thanks for watching today. This week we're going to cover tax deed auctions, some tax lien auctions, sheriff sale auctions, and then some over-the-counter properties as well as land banks and foreclosure sales. We have 3 new states to talk about this week, and you can think of this as like the sampler platter of what's going on in all of these different states in these different tax markets and foreclosures. So we have a lot to cover. I'll try to keep it on track, keep it quick. If you want to jump to states you're interested in on YouTube, you can look at the channels at the bottom of the video, and it will tell you where to jump in the video. Just click on that, and you can skip over to whichever state it is you're looking for. So let's go ahead and dive in and get going here. Let's start with the market totals. These numbers were changing even a minute ago while I was making this video, so I had to do a quick update. We have, since February 12th, added 24,395 properties to parcel fair. 18,394 of those were tax liens. A good chunk of those, 5,086, were tax deeds, just a little more than your usual week. And then 616 foreclosures and 299 properties came from various land banks across the country. If we talk about the market totals by state, we had to rearrange this slide than our usual one because we've added some states. But the foreclosures, we still have these 3 states with Florida 356, Colorado 144, and Indiana 116 new properties added this week. So 616 foreclosures being tracked that were recently added. For the over-the-counters, we've only added 381 properties, but we're expecting a large influx pretty soon as Arizona's wrapping up and a few other county auctions around the country wrap. We'll see over-the-counter releases ramp up, but it's still kind of the cold part of the year. But Tennessee added 256 over-the-counters. Those are in the Shelby, which is Memphis, Tennessee land bank. Maryland added 52 across their different over-the-counters. Alabama 38, Mississippi 13, Florida 12, and Arkansas 10. So kind of at a trickle on some of those states, waiting for the real action later on in the season. And lastly, this is the table I had to move because we have so many states with active auctions right now. You can see we added 23,398 recently in the last couple weeks. Arizona was 12,294 of those. That's going to be also, you're going to notice, from tax deeds and some surplus land for taxes that were actually not part of the tax lien auction, so that's exciting. New Jersey added about 6,200 tax liens, Alabama 2,400, Tennessee 800 tax deeds there. Florida's 549 auction properties across the board of various types. Ohio, we added about 400 properties for tax auctions. Indiana 317. New Mexico added 139, North Carolina added 92, Virginia we added 88 new properties, and Nevada we added 43, so that's some of our new states in the mix there. A little bit of a spoiler for what we're going to be covering in this video. And let's talk about the new auctions for 2024. We did do an auction planning video a few weeks ago that should help you with 2024. Things are moving so fast that video is already becoming out of date, so we're getting new states and new auctions rapidly added. So we're adding those daily. It's literally every day on Parcel Fair something's added. And just for a scale there, we're now actively tracking 1,036 upcoming auctions. And that doesn't even include the auctions that we've already tracked in the first 2 months of the year. So that's just upcoming auctions. You have over 1,000 to choose from and shop tax liens, tax deeds, foreclosures, whatever it is you're looking for. And when we're talking about the tax auction calendar, this is another slide that was quickly kind of going out of date because we're missing a couple states that we just added. But I'm going to keep it in here and talk about the seasons because that's what this is really trying to illustrate, is that Arizona's season is, well, it's actually about to wrap up right now. There's liens and some deeds going on. Indiana has started, and it's going to be going pretty hot throughout the spring. And then Maryland has barely started for the year. And lastly, we'll talk about the Alabama auction season has officially kicked off with the first advertisement. And we also have some preview counties in there too, besides just the official release. And looking over this, one of the takeaways that you should have is that there are also some seasons that just go year-round. New Jersey's tax lien season clearly goes year-round. North Carolina and Tennessee and Ohio have deeds available year-round through auction. So there are some opportunities that are just not seasonal. And so that's an illustration here to show you you can shop pretty much year-round somewhere in some of these states. So let's move on to our first state. It's Virginia, which is brand new for us. We actually just made a video for it a week ago. And their tax season appears to be all year, their tax deed auction season. We have not been tracking it long enough to say for sure, but we do know the first auctions of 2024 are here. And as we were making the video last week, several auctions were added almost immediately after we did our video. So 2 of the auctions just expired, but we have 4 that are posted for March, and then we even have one that we're looking forward to in May for Bedford. Another announcement is that we have photo and video scouting services available in Virginia for you. I'll show you that in just a second. And then a reminder, we do have a new tax deed auction intro video for Virginia. If you really want to get into Virginia and understand what's going on, I highly recommend watching that video so you can see exactly how these things work. But we'll do a quick overview right now. This is Virginia on the auction calendar. And you'll see in February we tracked 2 auctions there. So let's just close that up. And let's take a look at March and May. Some of these auctions have been recently added. We're looking at Amelia only has 6 properties, but they look interesting. Let's check this one out. So this one appears to have structures, a higher valuation, probably more to look at on the report. So let's click on that. So you'll see we do have more to see here. It's, we still don't have a Google Street View image. They didn't drive there apparently. But the interesting part is going to be this purchase option that shows you the upcoming auction. And that's this block right here with the big green button. If you click on that, we can see the tax sale information is going to take us to the Tax Virginia website, and we can go look at the actual list here. I'm glad I chose this county because one of the things I wanted to point out is that some of these auctions actually are online. On the other video, we had only seen in-person auctions, so that's a change here. So anyways, you're looking at Amelia County, and that was the list. We can even go see, whoops, I hit the same thing. Yeah, we can actually see this is where the online auction happens. So there is a link to that as well, based on what you want to do. But you have the date, the time, the place, and again, this is going to be a online auction. One of the things we cover in the Virginia video is that the amount due on the advertisements we've found so far, they don't post the amount due in advance. So we don't know the opening bid. So on Parcel Fair, unfortunately, you're going to see amount due not available. If we figure out where those are posted or if there's a way to calculate that, we will certainly add it. But for now, you don't have an opening bid on these properties, unfortunately. You could, if you want to see more research on these properties, we have the links on the right, the research links for property card and GIS. That will take you to the county sources if you wanted to look up even more. But that's kind of the general rhythm of what's going on in Virginia. Let's take a look at one more while we're here. We'll check out Bedford since it's the one that's out in May. And let's check this property out. Yeah, so this one's a little more, it looks like we have a Google Street View here. This is the order photos and videos, the scouting button I told you about. This is going to be in Virginia. Just click on that and we will connect you with the scout if you would like to have someone go out and get some photo and video of the property for you. So that is a new addition. But other than that, that's pretty much what we're going to talk about in Virginia. If you want to know more about the rules, how the auctions work, go check that video out when you get a chance. So let's talk about another new state for us, the Ohio sheriff sale auctions. The word sheriff has confounded us here. We keep adding an extra R. I don't know why, but it has one R in the word. And so we had to fix that spelling mistake several times. But these Ohio sheriff sales, they're available throughout the year. And these are tax deed foreclosure auctions. Some of them actually are not from tax deeds. They're just foreclosures in the mix. So you'll see both types in these sales. We're currently tracking 56 of those auctions in February. We have 54 more that we're tracking in March, and this is moving really fast. We're actually adding a lot of auctions. I wouldn't be surprised if March had way over 100 auctions by the time the month kicks off. We're also going to be adding Ohio land banks very soon. So that's going to be something to look forward to. That's basically Ohio's version of over-the-counter properties that did not sell at the sheriff auctions. And there is a full video that we made explaining a lot about Ohio sheriff auctions. So let's we will take a quick dip in here, but on the auction calendar, we're going to click on Ohio, and let's just close out February and look at March going forward. A lot of sales to choose from here, plenty to look at. If we wanted to, let's just view all the properties in this one county instead of just what's in the auction. And this lets us take a peek at some of these properties for sale. These do, we have very complete information on these. You can see you'll have a starting bid. The amount due on this one, for instance, is $113,000. That's pretty high opening bid considering the property is worth $155,000. But these are pretty appealing properties. Remember, Ohio does have tax liens, but most people are not able to participate in those tax lien auctions because they have a very high minimum purchase amount. You usually have to spend millions of dollars to even be in the conversation for those. So the best place for most tax investors to get involved starts with the sheriff auctions right here, and then moving into the land banks. If we wanted to, we could actually take a look at the GIS map at the county or the assessor property information. These are pretty good sites for digging in and finding out more about the property you're looking for. In this case, let's just copy over. We try to link to the property whenever we can, but not every website allows us. This one we're going to have to do a search ourselves, and good, we got a result there. And so from here, we have a great jumping off point where we can see the general information. We can see values over the years, the valuation of the property. There's just a great depth information at the county site that you can even dig deeper. We can see building sketches, for instance, and permits. So there's just a lot going on in Ohio if you want to go check out some of those county sources that we link you out to. But yeah, that's a great introduction for these Ohio sheriff auctions. Again, you really should check out the Ohio video to learn all about what's going on here. And we'll keep you posted as we're adding more counties and more land banks as well. Let's talk about another new state. We have Nevada has sort of unofficially started their tax deed auction season. We're tracking this NIE tax deed auction. These are technically leftovers, but these auctions are, it's online, it's a tax auction, so we're going to call it the beginning of the season. And we're going to have more of these show up. Most of their season is actually later in the spring, but we're going to go ahead and take our first peek here on the auction calendar at Nevada. And let's just throw these properties onto a map for you to look at. All right, so these are, looks like a lot of vacant lots at the moment, but we can take a closer peek at one of them. And of course, I picked one without a Google Street View, but that's okay. We're looking at about 1/4 of an acre. The total value is $3,300. So amount due, that opening bid's pretty high at $2,300. So, you know, this is maybe not the most appealing property of the bunch, but you get the idea. And to sign up for that auction, and you can click on the upcoming auction link, and you'll see that this is online. There's a button to register for the sale, and there's a button to view the tax sale information, and another button that will take you to the actual auction list. So let's click the info one. This is going to help you through the registration process and anything else that you want to know about how the auction works. All those links right here, as well as the property card and the GIS map. Let's check out the property card with the county. This is another great site. You can see it looks different than the one we looked at a moment ago, but same type of information. You can usually get valuations over the years, sometimes sales history, permits and zoning. Let's check out the property map here. So yeah, it's just good confirmation to go through and look at the county site like this and go through their assessment of the property as well. Sometimes you'll uncover something that you know, it's just deep in the county records. So try to help you with that and get you started with the link here to the property card. Let's look at the map again to see if there's anything else interesting. You know, when there's this few number of properties, if you watched our video, one of my favorite things to do is click on partial results on the right and then view these results in a grid. And that way I can then go sort that total value and get the most valuable property to the top. Okay, so this is a pretty underwhelming sale if you're used to buying high value properties. The highest value property in here is $5,700 vacant land, and it is $4,100 amount due. And then we see the second property right here. The amount due is actually higher than the total value. So this auction is, you're gonna have to pick through some of these properties if this is where you're trying to buy, but these do not look that appealing to me. Your opening bid is pretty high, close to the property in value, and it's just not that exciting. So it's a taste of Nevada, and we're going to get started and keep adding counties as those auctions get released. But so far, it's just kind of a teaser, I guess, maybe to get you excited for the season. You can start here with this particular auction. All right, let's talk about the Arizona. We're in the tax lien auction season. It's kind of winding down. It's that bid down interest format that starts at 16% and gives you a 3-year foreclosable tax lien. We did already make an Arizona auction preview video that goes in great detail of some of these larger counties. Important to know that deed auctions are all available. That's probably what we're going to talk about the most in this video today. And we also have over-the-counter tax liens. Those seem to be year-round, tens of thousands of those available to buy, and you can view those on Parcel Fair. And just a heads up, the Arizona scouting services that we had in place are no longer available for this season. So there are no more scouting services. That's why the button will be missing in Parcel Fair if you're looking for it. But let's cut over and, like I said, we've already talked a lot about tax lien auctions this year. You can see the calendar. A lot of these are complete. We're kind of towards the end. It's worth mentioning that Apache did move their sale from earlier in February, and it's actually going to be tomorrow now on the 27th. So that's 9,000 parcels. It's the largest tax lien auction remaining. And then we're going to have the last tax lien auction here that we're tracking is Graham on the 28th. But we have 2 tax deed auctions to look at in March. Yuma's a slightly smaller one with only 84 parcels. But Mojave we've recently added with 2,911. So let's map those properties and take a look at what we have. So here's our map, and I'm going to use a trick where I click on markers and overlays and draw the county border so I can see what we're dealing with here. So basically, let me click on the map on the left here too, so we can see we're talking about this county in the upper northwest corner. It's actually near Las Vegas, where we just were in Nevada, pretty close. So just down the road, I guess. But these 2,900 parcels are sort of peppered over the map. You can see a large concentration in places like this. And let's go back to satellite. We can see, I don't see any development there now, but I guess there's always that potential. It looks like it's parceled out and ready. So if you know the area, this could be an opportunity for you if you think that's going to be developed. To the north, a lot of other properties that have just scattered throughout here. I don't see development on the map, but I'm not an expert in the Arizona market, so I couldn't tell you if this is an up-and-coming area. There's no signs of it on this map. So something I notice here is a large property out on the mountainside. Looks like 186 acres worth $425,000. This is getting close to the border here of Nevada, and we'll pull it up on the property report here. So just in short, there's no improvements here, but let's check out this upcoming auction. And we have a lot of buttons here. A button to bid on the parcel, a button to view the tax sale info, the auction list, and then a registration button too. So basically, if we're going to register, we're going to end up at publicsurplus.com. Looks like they're the ones hosting this auction. So you need to register for a user there, and then you'll be eligible to bid on these properties. And so going back to the map, let's see if we can find another interesting property. I kind of gravitate towards where I see a city or development, so this looks like an area right here. So yeah, just looking around town, you can see some lots that are in residential area, probably already developed, that may be more appealing. And this is a good chance to use our filters. I'm going to look in the bottom left here. Let's do a minimum value of $10,000, and That's going to take us down to 25 properties. And if we look for improvements, this actually takes us all the way down. So let's look at those 25 properties that are worth more than $10,000. So on the right side, I'm just scrolling now. There's a 3.5 acre parcel here that we can see. There's development nearby. There's a 23 acre parcel with some interesting land around it, sort of mountainous area. And scrolling down, there's the 186 acres we already looked at. There's a lot of 2-acre properties. Here's another 23 acre property. So, if you're looking for land, this looks like a good auction for that in Arizona, Mojave County. And that's pretty much how I'm going to just go through these properties and take a peek at what's in there. So that covers Arizona. Again, there's a lot of over-the-counters this time of year and more coming. So be on the lookout for those 2024 leftover liens showing up over the counter. Okay, let's talk about the Tennessee auction season, which is all year. Let's just throw it all on the screen. It's the 10% interest penalty, and it's a 1-year redemption. It's still a very appealing tax deed to be buying. March is stacked up here. Maury, Washington, Hardeman, Carter, Albion, Giles. And then we get into April. We have Shelby coming up. And this was updated. It was previously March 5th. They've moved it, so it gives you an extra month and a half to look at that. And then Knox County is still pending a date announcement. We just checked in on it. We have their preliminary list, which they are keeping up to date and removing properties as they redeem, but we don't have a date yet. Always worth noting, there are over-the-counter properties from the Shelby Land Bank in Memphis. And let's take a peek at the Tennessee auction calendar while we're here. So closing out, February is closed for the month, but March you can see these upcoming auctions and then how many properties are in each one of these. Let's see, let's take a look at Washington. It has the most properties. And this 112 on the map. Always a beautiful area. Tennessee's always looks great from a satellite. We'll just click on the first property I found here, and it's a residential property worth $63,000. And the information is here on the purchase options of how to register for this auction, which is on GovEase, and the list as well. So that's what you would need to know to do research on this property. Let's see if there's anything else that we can view. I'll start over here. Let's click on that. So this is interesting. Triangle-shaped property with some kind of barn on it. And it's worth $64,000. And it is also in the same auction that you can click on this button and get those details to go bid on it. So we won't spend too much time on Tennessee. It's been covered quite a bit. If you wanted to see those over-the-counter properties, let's switch over to Shelby County in our search filters here, and let's clear those filters. I'm going to actually let's just click go and look at everything in the county first. Zoom out. So we have 2,900 properties. The blue properties are going to be your over-the-counters, and your yellow ones are going to be the tax auction. So that's the difference there. Blue are tax deeds that are over the counter, and then yellow are the auctions. If we want to see this over the counter property, click on it, and this blue option right here, the purchase option, will walk you through the steps of applying at the Shelby Land Bank. And that's how you would buy this property from that purchasing program. A lot of extra links here on the right to research the property. City of Memphis, tax assessor, GIS, county trustee. We have a lot of ways where you can take a peek at what's going on with this property. So that's a good way to dig into the county records yourself and just do some extra research before you buy. Okay. Moving on from Tennessee, let's talk about Alabama. Alabama is one of the most exciting states for over-the-counters, but we are now entering the tax auction season. We've had for several weeks some preview delinquency lists you can research. So this advertised official lists do show up a little bit later. I mentioned there's a lot of over-the-counters you can buy, but we do have some official advertised auction lists starting to show up now. I'll show you one in a moment here. Here's a reminder of the seasons in Alabama. The tax lien and certificate auctions, we're getting lists about this time of year up through April. The actual auctions start usually in April, but we actually have one in March this year. And then they end by June, so we have an off season on the right side here. That is the second half of the year, basically. But the over-the-counters are very strong here, as well as resellers and land banks, so there's many ways to buy, even when the auctions are out of season. And as a reminder, we are here. We are right at the spot where the lists are showing up. So on that note, I will go show you a list. There's several that are in preview type of, these are just the delinquency lists. We don't know which ones are actually going to go to the auction because they're still removing redemptions. But this Blount County one is getting pretty close. It's actually the official advertisement has happened. And so we can see the properties that are advertised for this auction. Some of these have a lot of acreage here, 154, 41, 40 acres. So it's a great way to get some land in Alabama if you follow this tax lien process all the way through. Remember, this is one of the 12% tax lien counties with a 3-year foreclosable lien. Let's zoom in on this area with residential, and we can take a look at, there are some, this is a senior living building that has let their taxes go. So we have a tax lien available in 2024 for $19,000. Interesting. The building is valued at $2 million, so that's an oddity to see in a tax lien auction, but we'll see if it actually makes it all the way through and gets picked up. Like all these other counties have been showing you, you can check out the GIS map or the property card using these links here. And the purchase option will take us to the links to register and sign up for the sale. So other than Alabama, I'll show you briefly, actually in Blount County, we're filtering, let me filter by all inventories. There's not many over-the-counters there. So let's, if you wanted to see over-the-counters in Alabama, let's just go to Jefferson, Birmingham, for example. Clear our filters out. We don't have an auction running there right now, so these are, everything you find this time of year is going to be over-the-counter. And just for example, you'll see a mixture of tax certificates over the counter in green, and then you'll see tax deeds available over the counter in blue. If you wanted to buy one of these, I've clicked on an interesting one here because you could either buy directly from the Alabama Department of Revenue using this link, and that lets you submit for a price quote and they'll send it to you. Or in this case, you could buy now from Anderson Realty and just be done with it. Anderson Realty is one of our good friends that is a reseller, and they resell properties in Alabama. So this is takes you to their order screen. You can actually fill out this form and buy the tax deed immediately. So again, two options. If you're in a hurry and want to buy the property, Anderson Realty is a great way to go. If you don't mind waiting in line and hoping the property is not picked up before you get it, then the Department of Revenue is another great way to go. So you have both options at your disposal here. So let's move on from Alabama and talk about Maryland. Tax lien auction season is here. We have one county, St. Mary's, on March 1st. It's coming up very soon. We also have photo and video scouting services available in Maryland. That's an announcement we're making today. We added it in Virginia and Maryland. We already had it in Alabama, and Arizona is finished for the year. So 3 states that we have scouting services that we can point you directly to a scout. Maryland's our newest one. Okay. So with that one auction, there's always the 3 OTC ways to buy in Baltimore City. There's other counties with OTCs that we have in partial fair. Just Baltimore City has the most. Right now, there's actually 3,000 OTC properties available. We took a deep look at this auction last week. Actually, let's go to the auction calendar. So I'll take a shorter look this week, especially since the auction's in a few days. We're going to map the properties in St. Mary's auction down to 241 properties remaining. And you can kind of zip around the map and just take a look at the properties like this. And you see 8.5 acres of land. And here's 0.6 acres on the water here. And let's take a look if, actually let me pick one. We looked at that area last week. Let's move up here to this area. Let's check out this property. It's value $680,000, and it's an acre. We can see from the street view it's a commercial looking property, and there we go. The purchase option will take us to register for the tax sale here or view the list. We can also see that tax lien is right here. It's $15,000 is the sale amount for that lien. If you wanted to see more from the county, we can click on the property card and go straight to this information. This is actually the state, I believe. Yeah, not the county, but it's good information on the property regardless. So yeah, that's a quick overview. Remember, the over-the-counters are also here. Let's see if St. Mary's doesn't appear to have any. We'll just do all counties, and then I'll switch my inventory type to over-the-counter, and this will give us everything in the state that we're looking at. So yeah, now we're looking at some over-the-counter properties here in Prince George's County. So it's a little different. We're not looking at Baltimore City. It's kind of nice to see some variety here that other counties have properties available as well over the counter. And then of course there's always Baltimore City if you want to get into the real thick of these over the counter properties where you can see these blue and green opportunities literally stacked like books here. The green ones are going to be tax liens over the counter. The blue ones are going to be basically it's a land bank, but they call it buy into Baltimore. So you're buying directly from the city that way. So both are viable options here for buying over the counter. Whether you want the property or whether you want a lien is probably the best way to think about this. The blue ones are going to get you the property. The green ones will get you an over the counter tax lien. Okay, so let's talk about Indiana. The spring auction season is available. These are known as the commissioner sales. And right now there are 23 available for you to research. Everybody's excited about Lake County. There's about 8,200 tax liens in there. And that auction's not until April 8th, so you have a lot of time to research that one still. And don't forget the foreclosure auctions run year-round in Indiana. We had 38 scheduled in February, but we're closing out the month, so we'll say there's 52 more to look at in March. And when we're looking at Indiana on the auction calendar, I like to filter here on the right side. Let's look at foreclosures only first. You can see those 52 in March, and then we have 39 more coming up in April. Let's see if we have, yeah, we're already into May as far as these foreclosure announcements. So you can kind of shop your auction this way by calendar. And if we want to look at the tax auctions, let's click on this, and these are going to be those commissioner sales, anything that's a tax auction this time of year. So let's take a look at Fulton. Just pick one. So there's 87 properties here. It's an interesting shape. It looks like a road. Sometimes those go tax delinquent, I guess. Here's a vacant lot. It looks like value is $6,000. For some reason, the amount due opening bid's 25 on this. I have to believe there's got to be a minimum bid higher than that once you bid on it. But I've not bid in Fulton County before, so I don't know for sure. But if you wanted to find out more about that sale, you can click on that upcoming auction button. This will take you to then. Other than that, if you want to see the state assessment details, that link is here. And that pretty much shows you what you need to see to get started in Indiana for these auctions. Those spring sales, commissioner sales will go into April. It looks like sometimes we've seen them go into later than April, but right now they go through April. And there's Lake County, the big one sitting in the middle on April 8th. All right, next up, New Jersey. This is the spring auction season. Now we changed the name from winter to spring because they just keep announcing auctions, which is, it's great. It looks like a year-round inventory of auctions to shop from for tax liens. And you can see they just keep piling in throughout March. And so we have 6 active right now, and we have another video on New Jersey if you want to know how those work. We're not going to talk about how they work in this video, but I will talk about how to look for those auctions on our calendar. So here are the 6 upcoming in March, and we'll pick Camden. It's got a lot of properties in it. So we're looking at 5,400 properties here and right on the waterfront on the edge of Pennsylvania, New Jersey. This is very interesting to see that this giant building here is tax delinquent for $15 million. So I think I have to click on that one just out of curiosity. So yeah, if you wanted to bid on this giant building, it's probably going to redeem. I could just have a hunch, but you could have the instructions to register here and view the list. One of the most interesting tax liens I've ever seen. And while we're looking here, we have some, this parking lot seems to be subdivided quite a bit. You could buy pieces of a parking lot, or at least the liens on pieces of a parking lot. Let's click on one of these and see how it looks. $1,000 is the amount due, value is $27,000, and it's in that upcoming auction as well. It looks like it's in an opportunity zone too, for just some extra real estate investment benefit there for your taxes. So let's close those out, and let's see if there's anything else that jumps out. Another large waterfront area here, 17 acres. Not sure. It looks like, actually, this looks more like a tax property. These buildings that are falling apart on it. So, you know, if you were buying this tax lien, you would definitely want to take a little look at this. There's a building on the edge, too, that looks a little bit nicer, more durable brick and stone here. That's definitely looking better than the property, or the building over here with the windows and roof missing. But there's a lot going on in this property, so that makes it interesting. And again, if you want to see more details, valuations, things like that, you can look at the property report here. And looks like we have an assessment here as well. We can't link you to the property because of the way it's set up, so you'd have to search for it yourself. But that's, yeah, it's self-explanatory. There's just this search on the left. If you want to find this property on the Camden Property Assessment Search Hub, that's how you would do it. Okay, let's move on to another state that has just announced some new auctions. We had New Mexico in the off season, and then 2 auctions got scheduled. So let's go take a peek at those 2 auctions. So much for an off season in New Mexico. So Santa Fe, as a reminder, that was actually delayed. I believe it was December was when that was scheduled, and it got canceled. And then Colfax is just a new auction that popped up. Let's take a peek at Santa Fe with the 24 properties. And you know, I'm going to cut to the chase here. We're going to view these results in a grid instead of on the map. And let's take a look at the more valuable properties in here. This one's definitely on the high value side. And so you can take a peek at this. These are going to be in-person auctions with the instructions here on where to go and when and how to sign up. This is all going to be this tax sale information on this website. And in particular, you can look at the PDF for Santa Fe and read all the fine print that you want to see how to bid and all those details. We've pulled some of it for you just so you know when and where to go, but you definitely want to understand the laws and what you're buying as well. I've been told and cautioned quite a bit in New Mexico. It's one of the only states that we know of where a tax deed foreclosure from the state does not extinguish a mortgage. They don't foreclose on the bank. If there is a mortgage on the property, it's important that you find that out. On that same note, you can view the assessor, treasurer, and county clerk links, and of course the GIS property card here. So those are some sources to help you research with the county as well. Okay, North Carolina, we are still tracking a lot of auctions there. We've already tracked 150 in 2024. I'm going to still call it preview because we have a lot of counties that we're adding still, and it's not the most straightforward state, so it's interesting. So we have a video to help you out with that. Your introduction to North Carolina tax deed auctions will talk you through how the upset bidding process works, how the pending auctions, the pending foreclosures work before they have announced a sale date and an amount. You can still look at them, and of course the scheduled auctions as well. And we do have new auction properties and new auctions added each week. We'll take a peek at the calendar, but we're going to move on pretty quickly here. And we do have that other video if you want to see a lot more about it. We'll minimize February and just see what's coming up in March. A pretty nice slate of auctions coming up. These are, for the most part, in person that I've seen. In fact, I think all of them are. and they're all pretty small auctions. So these are those foreclosable tax deeds, and again, the video goes into much more detail about North Carolina if you're interested in learning about it. There's always a lot going on in Florida. I'm going to zip through it today, though, because we're waiting on their tax lien auction season to start in the May-June timeframe. Right now, we're just talking about tax deed auctions and tax foreclosure auctions as far as the auctions go. So 51 tax deed auctions coming up in March so far. Probably be a few more that show up. 282 scheduled foreclosure auctions already for March coming up, which is quite a bit. And then we do have over-the-counter tax liens and tax deeds all year. We will just take a brief peek at Florida. We have a lot of time covering Florida in other videos, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time today. I'm going to filter on the right by the tax deed auctions because it'll show me just those auctions instead of all hundreds of auctions that are going on right now. And so if you want to pick a county out of the bunch, and you can view the properties that way and see what's in the auction on the map or see what's in the auction on a list. If I wanted to switch over, I could take a look at foreclosure auctions only. And there's going to be a few hundred a month of these, literally 300 or so a month, already 282 of them scheduled in March. A lot of them even happen on the same day. We're looking at March 4th, that's a dozen auctions on the same day. March 5th, over probably 20 there. So you can see these foreclosure auctions happen frequently. They're very small, but there's a lot to look at there. In fact, if we wanted to view some of these on a map, let's take a look. Like Orange County, we could look at just the 4 properties in this one auction, but we could also just look at all the properties and look across the auctions, and there's 248. So a ton of auctions going on right now in Orange County. But this lets me view across those all at once. So that's if I'm searching for something like a minimum value of $50,000, and if I wanted maybe, let's just say out-of-state owners, I can narrow it down this way, look across those auctions, and then pick a property and say, you know what, I want to bid on this property. So now I find out from this button on the purchase options that it's a foreclosure on this date. So you can literally come at it from either way. You can search on the map and see what is in all the auctions at once and then narrow in on your property, or from the calendar you can pick a specific auction and just see those properties in that auction if you want to do it that way. It's just totally up to you. A lot of over-the-counters as well, but we've covered that many times. So if you want to see over-the-counter properties in Florida, let's do Orange County again. I'm going to clear my filters and look at over-the-counter right here and see that there are 76 parcels with over-the-counter opportunities. And on the right, I can see a little preview. And let's just click on this first one. If we have a street view of the property, we can see everything about it that we want to know. And the green button right here will talk you through how to buy this tax lien over the counter. Colorado is pretty cold this time of year, both literally and figuratively, because the auction season has ended. And there's only thing going on right now is OTC liens and foreclosure auctions. So there were 17 of those in February, 14 more scheduled for March, 12 more in April so far. So it's a pretty steady flow coming. And we do have an off-season investing video for Colorado that will talk you through this time of year, how to invest when there are no tax lien auctions going on. So yeah, the Colorado auction map is going to look like foreclosures this time of year. That's because it's foreclosure season. So any of these auctions you want to look at, just click on the map or the list and view the properties that way. Mississippi is deep into the over-the-counter season because those spring auctions aren't here until April. We will have those soon, but they're not going to be here for at least another month. The over-the-counter feed is pretty steady here. There are about 7,500 over-the-counters available. They're year-round availability to purchase directly from the state. We had 34 new ones in January, 21 added so far in February, and that's it for Mississippi. Arkansas, that 2024 season is around the corner. We're waiting any day now for the 2024 schedule to be announced. They've actually announced the dates. They just have not announced the properties yet, so you won't see anything in Parcel Fair until those properties are available. New OTC deeds, we added 1,600 at the end of 2023, 56 more in January, 28 more in February, so a trickle of new over-the-counter deeds coming in that were left over. You can buy this from the Commissioner of State Lands year-round. These are over-the-counter in the sense that they're leftovers, but when you go to buy them, it actually forces them to a little miniature one-property auction, and those run every day, and you just kick those off and bid. It's a very nice online purchase process, but again, it's confusing that these are over-the-counter leftovers, but you're buying them at little miniature online auctions. South Carolina, we are through the fall season. We have OTCs coming through. We do have a video about South Carolina auctions if you just can't wait till the season and want to learn about it now. And lastly, Oklahoma and Utah over-the-counter season, which is the off-season. And there are some over-the-counters available, more counties to come. I'll be honest, we're not spending a lot of time on this right now until their seasons ramp up around May. And so that's it for this week. I appreciate you watching. And if you have questions, let's talk in the YouTube comments or go to our website, parcelfair.com. Shout at us over there, and we'd love to get a dialogue going. And if you haven't tried Parcel Fair, we have a free 7-day trial. And lastly, subscribe to this channel if you want these videos to want to be notified when we publish new content. Every other week we put out this news video, and the other weeks we focus on a market individually and go through the ins and outs of that market. Thanks again, and have a great week.